Hey everyone, it's Bridget here from Bridget's Kitchen, coming to you with another Cook the Book cooking class lunchtime edition. So if you're on your lunch break, it's just gone 12 o'clock here in Sydney. I think it's about 2 o'clock in New Zealand. So if you are on your lunch break now, thank you so much for joining me. We are going to do a wonderful little recipe straight out of my cookbook, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. Yes, this is the house copy. This is the one that I get all the stains on pretty much. And the recipe that we're going to do today is, and because it's a lunchtime edition cooking class, I thought we'll do one of the recipes straight out of the book that's really, really good for eating at lunchtime. Look, it's good for eating at any time of the day, but this is such a wonderful recipe that really does work well for lunch. And of course, because it's one of my recipes, it's wonderfully quick. It is 100% gut healthy. And hello to Marilyn, or should I say aloha to Marilyn, joining us all the way from Maui. Aloha, my beautiful lady. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, the recipe is of course 100% gut healthy because, as you all know, this book is 100% gut healthy with 100 gut healthy recipes. So really good as a gut reset, you know, to get all this stuff that may be messing up your gut, get it cleaned out and get you in the best health of your life. So the sticky salmon, I'll show you the recipe and I'll show you the photo. That's what we're doing today. It is on page 165 of the cookbook, and it is a really gorgeous little recipe. I absolutely adore it, and it's one that, you know, I constantly get people sending me messages telling me what their favorite recipe is in the book, and thank you to everyone who keeps on sending me those beautiful, wonderful messages and photos of what they've cooked up. And I have to say time and time again, one of the recipes that keeps on coming back as one of the favorites is this one. So the sticky salmon on broccoli rice. And I think the reason why people love it is, firstly, it looks stunning. So when you cook it up, and all you do is follow the recipe, and it's such a simple recipe. Now I use the air fryer, so this is an air fryer masterclass as well. I use the air fryer to cook the salmon. But when you cook it up and you put some of my wonderful sticky sauce on the salmon, what you get is a wonderfully caramelized piece of salmon that is lovely and moist, lovely and tender, but that fantastic flavor because we've marinated the salmon in some of the sticky sauce as well. So it is a really good recipe, and it is of course in this book. I actually think I've got it in the dinner section of the book, but as I was saying, this recipe is so versatile and so simple to make, really good for anyone out there who likes to meal prep. So if you are a meal prepper, you'll really enjoy this recipe because it's easy to make. You can make lots of the broccoli rice in bulk and then portion it out and then have your salmon there as well. So it's, you know, one of those really super versatile recipes that I love. Great for meal preppers, but also good if you're in a rush and you come home and you're like, I need something really delicious. I need something really, really quick because I don't have time. This recipe, from start to finish, provided you don't feel like marinating your salmon, because you don't have to marinate it for half an hour or overnight or whatever. You can literally sticky sauce the salmon, pop it straight into the air fryer while the broccoli is cooking in the microwave, and you have dinner ready for you in less than 10 minutes. That's what I love about these recipes, is I've tried to make them as quick as possible, as easy as possible, and with as few ingredients as possible, because, you know, you get some healthy food recipes and they've got like 25 ingredients on the list and you're like, I don't even have any of that stuff. So all the recipes in this book, I was going for speed, I was going for small amount of ingredients, and I was also going for taste. So let's get into the recipe. Actually, before I get into the recipe, I am going to talk a little bit about what I've got behind me, which is the air fryer. And if some of you have been following me recently, you may have noticed since I've gotten back from Hawaii, I've been on a bit of an air fryer kick, and I don't know why, because I've always loved the air fryer, and I've been an advocate of the air fryer since I started my healthy journey, you know, over a year ago. But I came back from Hawaii with a sort of renewed interest in air fryers. Not sure why. Actually, no, I do know why. I do know why. I bought one to use during my Hawaiian book launch. So I bought an air fryer at Walmart, gave it to my sister who lives in Hawaii, Diala. She now is the proud owner of my air fryer that I bought at Walmart. So I bought an air fryer because I was cooking some food that I was serving to my guests that arrived at the book launch. And the air fryer is not only obviously a really healthy way to cook food, but it's also a really easy way to cook food as well. So we had the air fryer sort of humming on in the background, and people were coming in and we're giving them wonderful dandelion, dandy chai iced teas, and it was just absolutely wonderful. But food was just constantly flowing out of this air fryer, and it just kind of reminded me of what a fabulous appliance it is. So the air fryer that I have here, and I have to say, I'm just going to sort of poke it down there so you guys can have a bit of a look at it. I have to say with this air fryer, it's huge to begin with. It is a really large capacity air fryer. It's bigger than my last one. My last one I bought from Kmart. Cost me like $49 or $59 or something like that Australian. Really well priced, but it was quite a small unit. It was about 3.6 litre capacity that's inside of it. So I found that with that smaller one, even though it cooked really well, with the smaller one from Kmart, I had to, it took me longer to do things because I was having to do things 3 or 4 times because of the small capacity. I have a huge household of kids and husbands and stuff. So not one husband, not husbands, only one husband. But lots of kids, lots of people constantly flowing through our house. We have family staying with us all the time. I always like to cook healthy food. So that smaller air fryer I got from Kmart was not quite doing it for me. So I started to look around for a larger capacity one, which is what I have here. Now, I bought this one online. I got it through catch.com.au. It is called Healthy Choice. That's the name of it, Healthy Choice. I went, well, that sounds about right, Healthy Choice. So I bought this. It's a large capacity, as I was saying. It's a 10 litre. I can put a whole chicken in there, rotisserie style. In here, it's actually got a rotisserie function that works. And as you can see, with this larger capacity, it is a lift-up model one. So it does have I suppose, a kind of a basket that you take out, but it is definitely larger. Now, I'm not going to say it's easy to use, so I'm going to put the waiver in here. It is wonderfully sized, and it does cook okay. Good, normal, right? But the setup that they have here, I'm not a fan, to be honest with you. It's a little bit more, annoying to use, is probably for want of a better word. So it's a great size capacity. It was a great price too for a 10 litre. I think it cost me, including delivery, was like $120 Australian. So I did like that, but I'm not so keen. And it does cook well, and it does cook lots. And that's all very good for my big household. But this setup here, I'm kind of like, it's a bit clunky. And I like appliances that actually work really well for us and then they're simple to use. So in my mind, I'm like, if I was to design one, and I think I'm going to design an air fryer of my own, I would actually make it better than that. Still that really large, wonderful capacity, but just a little bit better design here. So when it comes to the air fryer, I'm not brand agnostic when it comes to deciding what brand you want. Some people will spend $300 or $400 on an air fryer. I'm pretty happy with my $120, including postage, 10 litre air fryer, which is lovely size and able to fulfill the needs of a nice big household. If you're just one or two of you cooking, you might find that the Kmart one actually works really good because it's a great air fryer. It is wonderful, and it's got a pull-out basket, so I find it a little bit easier to use than this big jobby. But if you've got a larger capacity, you might want to look at something large like this. And I have the digital one. You can also get manual ones where you twist knobs. The manual one may even be easier to use than this one, because this digital one, I'm just like, it's just clunky. Like I said, cooks okay, but clunky. So the primary thing about when you're looking for an air fryer yourself, go with what you want. I'm not, like I said, I'm not brand agnostic. I like to test out appliances, and I'm happy with this, but I could be happier. There you go, I could be happier. I also see that this is available on Kogan if you're in Australia, kogan.com.au. Also sell this air fryer as well. Prices are quite comparable between the two, Catch.com and Kogan. When it comes to air frying, one of the biggest secrets I can give you guys is preheat your air fryer. Not for very long. It only needs like a couple of, literally it needs 2 minutes to preheat it. So preheat your air fryer before you put food in it. It's very similar to like when you preheat an oven. Like you wouldn't put a cake into a cold oven. It's the same concept when it comes here. Food needs to go into a hot space. You're going to get a better, more even cooking environment happening there. So that's number one thing, is preheat your air fryer. Even just, it only needs a couple of minutes. Just just 2 minutes, literally. My other secret, not so secret, but my other main tip when it comes to air fryers is do not overload them. So even though this looks like it's a really big capacity, do I have a, oh, it's not too hot. Oh, here we go, it's got some little handles. It looks like it's a really big capacity right in there, big capacity in there, but I'm not going to fill that air fryer up to here, because what's going to happen is the food's not going to cook evenly. So you need to, especially when it comes, if you're cooking like lots and lots of chicken in it or something like that, you want to have it in a single layer. So rather than having a double layer, have a single layer. With this air fryer, I'm actually able to create 2 layers because of the big capacity. So if I turn this little wire rack, this is for a single layer. If I want to put 2 layers in, I turn this over, I have food down here, and then I can have food on the top as well. So that's another great thing, but just be mindful of when you do your 2 layers, you still need to turn the food halfway through the cooking process. So do not overload your air fryer. You'll get a much more even and much more consistent cook. And you know, if you are doing something like chicken, you want to make sure all those chicken drums or chicken wings, whatever you've got in there, are cooked right through, so that we don't have any potential cross-contamination of eating raw chicken and all that sort of stuff. So keep an eye on it. The other thing I like about this air fryer is it's got a light and it's got a glass panel, so you can see what's going on without having to lift the lid. Very cool. I'm going to include that in my design. If anyone wants to give me some thoughts about what they would do to improve an air fryer, that for me is very, very cool. Light, glass panel, looky inside. My last one I had to lift the lid, because every time you lift the lid you let the air out, so it's really cool if you leave the air in, because that helps things to cook faster. So that's another cool thing about this. But all in all, huge fan of the air fryer. I would like to give an air fryer to every single person that I meet, because it's just like, yeah, have an air fryer, because I just think they're such a cool appliance to have. And even if you're limited on space in your kitchen, this does so many things, right? You can roast in it, you can bake in it, you can do things that you would normally do in a deep fryer, because of course we don't do deep fryers, so you still get the food really, really crispy. And this one here is also acts as a rotisserie, so you can do a whole chicken, and it slowly turns itself. I mean, it's versatile, and I love things in my kitchen that have more than one purpose. Like, I'm not one of those people that believe in having an appliance that just does one thing. I like appliances that are versatile. I like appliances that have multiple jobs, so they're not just sitting on the shelf, for months and months and months and waiting for me to do that one job. This gets used daily. And it's not just me who uses it, the kids use it too. So this is a really nice appliance to introduce the kids. If you want to introduce the kids or the grandkids into the kitchen, this is a really nice appliance to get the kids in there, because it's a lot safer than them turning on a whole oven. You still have to be mindful that this produces a bit of heat, and there is a bit of heat that comes out the back too. That's where the sort of the hot air blows out. But in terms of kids, our kids love this, because they can feel really confident in their cooking. And it's also really easy to clean. Did I mention that? It is so easy to clean, because it comes with this non-stick, basket. And my last air fryer from Kmart did exactly the same thing. It was all non-stick. So when you want to clean your air fryer, all you do is take out the basket, take it over to the sink, give it a little bit of a scrub. You don't need like a metal scourer, just like a nylon scourer. Give it a bit of a scrub out, and then what I do to finish off the cleaning process is I take the clean bowl, put it back into the air fryer, turn this on for 2 minutes, and it dries itself. Don't you love it? Like, seriously, I just think it's fantastic. It's just it's good. All right, let's get into the recipe. I think I've talked far too much about the air fryer, but I've got some really cool things I want to show you after we finish the salmon, so you guys can see what I have cooked recently in the air fryer. It's pretty cool. All right, but let's get into the recipe. So we're on page 165 of the book, 165, and yes, we're doing sticky salmon and broccoli rice. So broccoli rice, when I first thought of the concept of broccoli rice, trying to spit that out. When I first thought of broccoli rice, and I kind of imagined the taste in my mind, because at this point I was over broccoli. I'd had so much broccoli, I was kind of broccolied out. I'm surprised I didn't start sprouting little green florets out of the top of my head, because I was like, oh gosh, oh, I don't know if I can do any more broccoli. And then the concept of broccoli rice come up, and I was like, oh, that doesn't sound too great. But you know, being ever the person who likes to try stuff, I always like to give things a go before I completely discount it. And what I discovered about broccoli rice is it's really good. So if you haven't tried the broccoli rice yet, please, please, please give it a go. I have a recipe that just teaches you how to make broccoli rice. That's at the back of the book. So it's in the vegetable bases section of the book, broccoli rice. But it's really simple. Let me show you how. All right, I'm going to bring the camera down onto my chopping board here so we can get into this recipe. So when it comes to the broccoli rice, here we go. All right, now if you may notice, what I actually have here today is broccolini. So broccoli was about $5 a kilo that I saw in the store this morning, and I was like, you know what, that's too expensive. Whereas the broccolini was on special, and broccolini is a cousin of broccoli. So it's a little bit more tender. It's a little bit more fine. So if you are struggling getting through all that broccoli, give broccolini a bit of a try. Give it a bit of a try because, like I was saying, it's a little bit more tender. It's a little bit more sweet because broccoli can be quite earthy, and it's quite an earthy sort of ingredient or vegetable. So this is just a little bit more tender. You might find that appeases your taste buds a bit more. So, and the cool thing is it comes with rubber bands, which are really handy to have in the kitchen. I have a drawer over there that is completely full of rubber bands. I love rubber bands. Never throw them away. All right, so rubber bands off. Really important. When it comes to our broccoli rice, what we want to do is, there are parts of the broccoli, even if we're using a big piece of broccoli, that are a little bit woody, so we want to get rid of that. And even on the broccolini, even though it's lovely and tender and small, there are still some woody tips at the end that we're going to remove. So you probably want to cut off around about sort of 2 inches of the stalks can come off. 2 inches, about there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut the broccoli into smaller portions. Now, if you're using your normal, everyday garden variety broccoli, same concept, same theory applies. Nothing changes. So I have here my little magic, not magic, it's just a food processor, but it's a little mini one. This has been all over the world with me, by the way. This little machine has been to about 8 countries in the last 6 months. Hawaii was the last one. I actually took this with me when I went to Hawaii because I always like, just in case I need to blend something. You just never know, right? You never know when you have to blend something. So this travels with me everywhere. And it is so versatile. Once again, it's that smaller capacity. All I'm going to do now is just chop through the broccoli, just roughly chop through the broccolini, and then I'm going to pop it into my food processor. Look, if you're wondering if you can do this broccoli rice by hand, ooh, you could literally stand there and go chop, 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 chop with your knife and make it into smaller pieces. It would take you a while, but it can be done. It absolutely can be done. Let's just see if this is working. Yes, it is. The other thing I like about this little machine is it's I can put different connections onto it. So this is the food processor bowl. I can also put a whisk onto here and a bar mixer, like the bar stick as well, which is great. So big noise, guys. You don't want to over blend your broccolini or your broccoli. Really important. You want it to be about the size of rice. You can see that. It's kind of it resembles rice, hence why we call it broccoli rice. That took 5 seconds of blending. 5 seconds of blending. If you have done broccoli rice in the past and you find it maybe a little bit soggy, or the texture doesn't feel right, what may have happened is you've just blended it too far. So you've gone past this type of consistency and you've created more like a paste, or it's just too fine. And when it's too fine, it's going to release a lot of water and it's not going to be quite the same. So this is a really, like I said, great machine. 5 seconds later, you have broccoli rice. if I was chopping it, it might be 5 minutes later. So this is quite nice. Those go in. See, you notice how I haven't overloaded the little machine as well? Important too, if I was to fill this up to the top, you'd get the stuff down the bottom getting over blended, while the stuff at the top doesn't even have the opportunity to blend. So just like the air fryer, do not overload your machine here. Keep it as, you know, sort of halfway is a good indication. And it also depends on the ferociousness or the ferocity. Is that a word? No, it's not. I'll think of another word. It also depends how well it blends. If it blends really well, you know, you don't want to, you definitely can add a bit more, but if it's a bit of a slow blender, just go with small quantities at a time. All right, big noise again. All right, a little bit, just maybe a second longer. Yep, perfect. Okay, broccoli rice is now pretty much halfway done. All that's left for me to do now is pop that in the microwave to cook. So I'm going to pop over to the microwave now, get it going. Probably this quantity, 2.5 minutes. No, I'll make it 3 minutes. 3 minutes for that quantity of broccoli should work really well for us, or broccolini as the case may be today. Bench a bit of a wipe down, because now we need to start thinking as our broccoli's cooking. And if you don't have a microwave, or if you're a person who does not like to microwave, I know that there are some people who don't like microwaves, you can cook your broccoli rice in the oven on a flat roasting tray. You can cook your broccoli rice in there. If you've got an air fryer, you could even cook your broccoli rice in the air fryer for a couple of minutes on about 180. But you need to, if your basket needs to have very small holes, or else the broccoli is going to fall through. So probably the oven is your best bet if you don't have a microwave. 180 degrees, 350 degrees Fahrenheit on a flat tray. Lay it out on a baking paper lined tray. You probably have it in the oven there for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how fast your oven is. So broccoli's in, which is great. We need to get on to the next stage of the recipe. There's only like 2 stages, which is really cool. And the next stage, of course, is our salmon. What are we going to do with our salmon today? So I have 2 portions of salmon in front of me. And one of the things that you may notice about my salmon is it's delicious. I love salmon. I love this marbling effect through there. See those little lines that you're seeing? That is the natural good fat in there. And this is the good stuff that is wonderful for our bodies. So this is full of that wonderful fat called omega-3, which is really, really good for us. And omega-3 is great for our brain health. And when we've got those wonderful, good quality fats in our diet, it's helping us to stay fuller longer. So salmon is a really good one. Tuna is another, what we call an oily fish. And I have, with my salmon, I still have the skin on, because you know what that means, right? Crispy skinned salmon. So I like to leave the skin on. If you can't buy your salmon with skin on, that's okay, because this recipe will still work. But you know, there is some just almost like a layer of just a light layer of natural fat that runs along that skin. So having that skin on is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So we need to think about, and in the book I talk about marinating the salmon for 30 to 60 minutes in my sticky sauce. So that is definitely something that you could think of doing. If you want to marinate, or you have time to marinate your salmon, it is nice. Now what you're going to get when you marinate your salmon for sort of 30 to 60 minutes, doesn't need too much more than that. You're going to get a real massive increase in flavor, because it's going to see the sticky sauce is going to get inside the salmon, and so it's just going to be more delicious. But if you are pushed for time, this recipe still works wonderful with the sticky sauce. So you could either leave your salmon piece whole like that, or if you wanted to, and this is kind of what I do, and it's what the picture that you've got in the book there, is I like to cut mine into chunks, just because I think it looks pretty, and it also makes me feel like I've got more salmon. But I think this the size that I have here is, it's about 125 grams worth of salmon, which is about just under 4 ounces of salmon that I have here. So you know, you can cut it into chunks, or like I said, you can totally leave it completely whole if you want to, and just sticky sauce that. The other thing you can do is, if you're not keen on the skin, or if you're like me and you want to do something with the skin, and I'm going to show you that in just a second, is you can actually fillet the salmon just by running your knife just down the edge of the fish there, and what you are left with is a piece of skin. And you're wondering, like, why are you doing that, Bridget? Why are you removing that delicious bit of skin? I really want to eat that on my crispy salmon. And I'm like, I hear you, but there is a reason why. Let me show you what I've been up to before I went live with you today. You could do this in your air fryer. That is a salmon chip. Isn't that amazing? And oh my gosh, this is just salmon. I just put the skin in the air fryer. I cooked it for about 8 minutes on 200 degrees, which is 390 Fahrenheit, for about 8 minutes. And what you get left with is snacks. Salmon skin snacks. So yeah, that's what I did, because why wouldn't you? So you could also do that if you wanted to. Or you can go and see if you can purchase just the skin from your fishmonger. And just say, look, you've got any skin, salmon skin lying around? Cut it into strips. 8 minutes, 9 minutes in your air fry set at 200 degrees, and you get, let's do that one more time for the crunch. You get that. I know, right? Awesome. So there's something you didn't know you could do in your air fryer, right? Salmon, crispy salmon skin chips in your air fryer. Okay, but let's get back to what we're doing. So now that our salmon is sliced, remember I did mention before the importance of preheating your air fryer. So we just need to pre it for a couple of minutes. So let's do that now. So I'm going to turn it on. It's got a loud beep too, is the other reason I'm not too keen on this model. It's just a loud beep. Small things, but small things that can be improved, right? So I'm going to set it on to roast or bake, or some people don't have preset functions, which is absolutely fine as well. I'm going to set the temperature next. So I'm going to set the temperature on 160 degrees Celsius, which is 320 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's not a high temperature, it's just below medium, and I'm going to set the timer as well. And the timer doesn't need much at all. Now with the timer, sorry, beep beep, I know, how loud is that beep? It just drives me nuts. Okay, I'm going to set the timer for 9 minutes. Oh, it just stopped on me, never mind, let's go back to the timer. 9 minutes. The first couple of minutes of that is actually going to be preheating. So now that's preheating, it's got a nice kind of a hum. I'm not too, turned off by the hum. It's not bad. I'm going to marinate, or just put some sticky sauce on the chunks there. So one portion is 1 tablespoon of sticky sauce. Give it a little bit of a twist and a mix. So that would, if you wanted to, you could literally put that in there when this finishes preheating. Or you could leave that now for 30 to 60 minutes to marinate and allow the flavors of that sticky sauce to really start to penetrate the flesh of the salmon. That's up to you. If you're doing a whole piece, I'm going to get myself a clean spoon before I go back into the jar. If you're doing a whole piece of salmon, then you just literally just do that, yeah? Get your fingers involved, because you want it to be all over. And this one doesn't have the skin, remember, so I'm just going to do that too. And once again, when it comes to the whole piece of salmon, you can leave that to marinate for 30 to 60 minutes, or you can start cooking it straight away. Completely up to you. So here is some I prepared earlier. So here's some marinated ones that I prepared earlier. I'll put those into the air fryer along with the ones that are just got the sticky sauce on, so you can see if there's a visual difference, but it's actually more of a taste difference that we're going for here. So it's neither here nor there, I suppose, is the way to do it. But it definitely does have a better flavour if it's left to marinate for a little bit. So the air fryer is now feeling pretty good. I'm going to open the lid and put our salmon in. There goes the first one, and I am doing it on the rack. Now the rack there just keeps the salmon off the base of the air fryer, so we get some air flowing down the middle as well of the air fryer, which is really important. I'm going to put those ones in as well. There's only me home right now. I get to eat all this food. Everyone else is at school and at the office. It's just me. If anyone's close by and you want some lunch, I've got salmon almost ready. I'm also putting in the one that have the skin on there so we can see what that's like as well. And then you want to do this quickly because you don't want to let too much air out. Put it down and it instantly goes back on, which is fantastic. So we've got about 7 minutes, 6 to 7 minutes with our air fryer. Let's have a look at the broccoli rice. Oh baby. The first thing I've noticed about this broccoli rice is the colour has improved. It's gone really lovely and green, and now it's got a lovely smell to it as well. So that was it. It was just in there. I think I had it there for 3 minutes. 2 heads of broccolini, or 2 bunches. You can see the steam escaping when I give it a bit of a twist, give it a little bit of turn. Now if you're wanting to meal prep this broccoli rice, I wouldn't suggest freezing it because it won't defrost very well, but you could definitely pre-cook this broccoli rice and have it in your meal prep containers, and it can sit in the fridge for up to 5 days. So it's not going to be the freshest on day 5, but I don't think broccoli rice is a great one for freezing. You can try it, but it may hold on to a little bit of moisture on defrosting, and it might get a little bit soggy. So this is definitely one that is great if you are meal prepping and keeping things in the fridge. And on twisting the broccoli rice, what we're actually getting is steam release, so it's not overcooking, which is really important because we want it to still be really firm to the bite. So that is the base, the start. But you don't just want to have broccoli. We have to think about doing things like adding seasoning. So important, right? Bit of pepper, bit of black pepper goes in there. I'm also going to add in a pinch of Himalayan salt as well. Doesn't need too much, just there is so much flavor in there. I mean, you could also add a little bit of ginger into there if you wanted to. You could add any type of fresh bright herb, would be really nice. And in fact, that is what we're going to do right now, is we're going to add a little bit of herb. Which herb is she adding, you may be asking? Now here is my little, let's put that over there for a sec. Here is how I like to store my herbs. This is a damp, but not like really wet, it's damp, completely damp tea towel. And in my completely damp tea towel, I have my herbs. Now I bought these 2 days ago, these 2 bunches, coriander, fresh mint. Oh my goodness, the mint smells amazing. I just got a whiff of the mint when I started to shake it. Oh my, wonderful. So I bought these 2 days ago. You would think they've just been picked, right? That is because our lovely damp tea towel keeps them completely enclosed, keeps them safe from the harsh, sort of dry sort of environment that the fridge creates. Even in the vegetable crisper, this is going to help your herbs to stay fresher longer, and it means you get to buy larger bunches as well, which is really good. So the herb that I'm going to use, and it's the one that I've got in the book, is mint. Mint, fish, broccoli, all these flavors work so incredibly well together. I know that there are a lot of coriander haters out there, so I'm not adding coriander today like I normally would. I'm going for the tops of the mint too. That's where the real fresh beautiful part is. I'm just going to add those. I'll put those in, maybe a little bit more, and then we're going to chop it up. Just pull it together, just like that, and then taking a nice sharp knife, I'm just going to slowly slice through it, taking my time, watching my fingers. Okay, just like that. That can now go into our bowl of broccoli. So now imagine you are eating through this bowl of broccoli rice, and then whoa, you get a piece of mint in there. That will just be so fresh. It'll be so amazing on the palate that you know, it's exciting. I find fresh herbs exciting, and no, there is no comparison between fresh mint and dried mint. Dried mint, I haven't found a purpose for it yet. I'm sure there is. I personally haven't found it. Maybe to make tea, but even fresh mint in tea is even good. So the excitement that your palate's going to get when you hit a piece of that gorgeous mint through this broccoli is going to be sensational. So that's how we do the broccoli rice, and it is done. It's done. I don't have to do anything else to it. That's delicious right there. So let's have a little look into our air fryer. Let's see what's happening inside today. Oh yes, we're starting to get a little bit of colour. Let's have a little bit of a look here. A little bit of a look here. See, already, that's only been not even 5 minutes, and already our salmon is, oh gosh, you know it's cooked because it just wants, do you see how it just wants to flake away like that? Oh, see how tender that is. Oh, gorgeous. Right, that's going to go back in it probably only needs a couple more minutes. You don't want to do any more. Because one of the things about fish, and I personally believe, let me get back to me for a second. Here we go. Hi guys. I personally believe that one of the reasons we don't eat as much fish especially as we should be, and it's been, I've read studies that suggest we should be having fish at least 3 times a week because it's really good for our bodies. It's really easy to digest. So if we want to talk about if you want to talk about, you know, just how good fish is for gut health, it is so easy for our gut to break down. It is full of the most wonderful, you know, minerals, macronutrients, micronutrients. You know, it's got, when it comes to the salmon, it's got that wonderful omega-3, you know, fatty acids, which is so good for our brain health, so good for our bodies as well. And I reckon the reason we don't eat as much fish as we should be eating is because for some people, I know definitely, they find that fish becomes quite dry. And it's quite, you know, on the palate, it's not an exciting thing to eat. So, you know, instead of sort of assuming that we're always going to overcook our fish or it's going to dry out, the best thing that you can do when you are cooking seafood, or fish especially, is to err on the side of caution. So if you look at it and you think, I think it might be ready, chances are it is, and take it out. Now, fish does not need much heat, and it does not need much time to cook. Now, the perfect internal core temperature for the inside of that piece of salmon that I just bought out, would you believe, is only 51 degrees. When the internal temperature of your fish, whether it be fillets, small pieces, whole fish, whatever it is you're barbecuing, you're cooking, when that internal temperature reaches 51 degrees. Now think about this for a second. 51 degrees is basically Darwin. So if anyone's in Darwin, you're sort of going, yep, it gets pretty hot up here, and that's kind of where we head to. 51 degrees is not very hot. This is Sydney as well on a really bad day. So 51 degrees internally means we don't have to add much temperature, heat, and we don't have to add much time. So always err on the side of caution, which is what I'm about to do. I reckon our salmon's ready. I'm having a bit of a look to see what's happening here. Okay, oh, it's hot. But you see how it's flaking away on me? It's just breaking like that. That, yeah, is perfectly cooked salmon, right? And look at that lovely natural oils on my fingers. That is perfectly cooked salmon. So let's finish off our dish. I need to put it somewhere. I don't want it to go to waste. I've got a spare little plate. I'm so excited that I forgot that I need to now plate up. So let's do that. Okay, so for our broccoli rice, that is going to go on the base of our plate. So bear with me as I bring you back down here. Okay, the bowl that I'm using today, ta-da, is that one there. So we start with the base, which is our broccoli rice. And you know what? That tastes so good. Put as much broccoli in there as you like. You're probably looking at about 200 grams of broccoli that you are about to eat. And as I pile that broccoli into that bowl, what is attacking my senses is all that wonderful fresh mint that we have just stuck in there. So that goes in as a base. And then let's start. Oh my gosh. Look at this, guys. Crispy skin, well cooked broccoli, well cooked salmon. So that was the one that we did not marinate, and you can see the color is actually really wonderful, really good. So we're going to put some of those on. Now let's have a little look at the one that I did marinate for about 30 minutes. Looks kind of the same. Remember, it's just going to be a flavor difference. Let's put some of that on there as well. Pile it up. There is your portion. I know, right? So exciting. We are also, let me show you what happened with our whole fillet. Here he is, flaking away. Can you see how moist that is? You notice it's just cooked through. So that was six and a half minutes in the air fryer, 160 degrees, and you get that gorgeous result. That you could literally just like pop that in your mouth, right? Perfect. Right, that can go there for now. I'm also going to finish this gorgeous little dish off with some more mint because that's all. I've got no answer. Because we can, and it's wonderful. And what that means is when you are eating your lunch, you are getting these wonderful hits of freshness, of crispness from that mint. That is going to go on like that. Let us also put a little bit of pepper, just a little bit of pepper on top. We're going to doesn't need much seasoning, just a sprinkle. Just a sprinkle of Himalayan salt goes on top there. And then I'm going to finish it off in style. And for me, in style, I have in this little plastic baggie here, I have some shredded nori sheets. Nori is wonderful, as our seaweed, as we know. Absolutely gorgeous. And makes such a wonderful addition. Let me just wipe my knife down. Makes such a wonderful addition to our lunch dish. It's good. And of course, seaweed, fish, it all kind of works, right? They're all friends of the ocean, which means that flavor-wise, they work really well together. So we're going to add that, and literally what we have created here is a very quick, very tasty, go with the sprinkles, a very fabulous, easy dish that we can all create. So I'm hoping that there we are. I'm hoping that you give this a try. If you have my book, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, give this a try. You will not be disappointed. It is pretty wonderful. If you've already tried this, let everyone else know in the comments whether you've tried this and what you think of it. But for me, this is definitely one of my favorites from the book. I say that almost about every recipe, but no, honestly, this is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorites. Last thing before we go, now that you've seen that in action, remember, key points here, do not overblend your broccoli rice so it holds on to texture. Really important. Do not overblend it. Second important tip when it comes to our cooking of our salmon is to err on the side of caution in terms of timing. If you think it's cooked, chances are it is. Take it out, because you can always add more cooking time, but once it's overcooked, you can't reverse the process. So always, just sort of give it a bit of a watch. Every air fryer is different. So, my air fryer might take 6.5 minutes. Your one might only take 6. It might be faster than mine, or it might get a little bit hotter than mine. So always err on the side of caution. Make sure that keeping an eye on things just until you get into the swing of it. After you've done it a couple of times, you know exactly what's happening. It just becomes a walk in the park. But let me show you this last thing that I did in the air fryer this morning before we had this class. Oh my gosh, it's so terrible. Do you see what I made? I made this in the air fryer and it took 6 minutes. So this here is my molten chocolate lava cake. It is gluten free. It is sugar free, and it takes 6 minutes to cook in the air fryer. So that's actually the photograph you're going to see when I share that recipe. That looks pretty cool, doesn't it? And you can see how the molten bit's gone and oozed out there, which is gorgeous. 6 minutes in the air fryer. What's not to love? Really good for us as well. I'll be sharing this recipe in the coming days. If anyone wants me to share this before Mother's Day, let me know. Let me know, because I wasn't planning on sharing it to next week, but Mother's Day is coming up. We could all do with something delicious like this. We could all do it. But in saying that, today on Bridget's Kitchen, I shared with you my Hawaiian Kara pineapple and coconut cake. Just go and download that recipe now. It is phenomenal. Seriously. I'm not overselling it. I'm probably underselling its amazingness. So it's, I had my original Kara cake, which was orange and almond. For me, this has improved it. Just saying. this has improved it. That was shared this morning in Bridget's Kitchen. We also have a competition going now, which is our May Cook Along with Healthy Kingston Biscuits. If you share your photograph of the Healthy Kingston biscuit before Mother's Day, like you do the recipe and then you post it on Bridget's Kitchen, I will send you my brand new ebook. My brand new ebook, which is 30 healthy treats. So Bridget's Healthy Treats times 30 in one book. I'll send it out to you just for joining the competition, but you've got to do it before Mother's Day. You've got to do it before Mother's Day. And I'll send you a copy of that ebook, post it on Bridget's Kitchen. Do not forget, this book is still available. I'm about to order the next print run because we literally only have hundreds of copies left. They will probably go in the very short while. I reckon in less than a week we're going to sell out. So if you want a copy, they are still available. I'll post the link up very, very soon for you guys. So thank you all for watching. Happy lunchtime. Happy early Mother's Day. Enjoy, you know, whatever it is you're going to be enjoying. And we'll talk to you guys really, really soon. Take care. Bye.